Hey neighbors, we are going to be diving into the September real estate numbers for the L5H area. So I'm going to switch screens here and we'll go over what's sold before we dive into what those numbers actually mean and the full scope of the market, because the sold data isn't everything. So here we are looking at the sold data for September 2023. I've got it broken down by detached, semi-detached, townhome, and condo townhouse, because of course those are the property types in the area. So starting with detached, there was 8 sales in September with a median price of just over 1.5 million and an average of 39 days on market. As you can see, for the semis and the freehold townhomes, zeros for the month. Nothing sold for those property types. And for condo townhomes, there was 2 that sold with a median price of just under 734,000 and an average of 10 days on market. And if you'll notice the asterisk here, it's because it's average listing days on market, not actual property days on market. And that's simply how the board shares the numbers. Now, I want to make a point of this because a property could be listed for 3-4 months. It's then terminated and relisted at a much lower price. And let's say it sells in a few days. Well, now that listing has sold in 3 days, but the stats completely ignore that it's been on the market, like I said, for that 3-4 months. So these are listing days, not property days. Property days are typically much higher because of the terminated and the relisted and the expirations and the suspensions of the actual properties. So now I'm going to flip over to the MLS. We'll take a look at what's happened and happening in the current market and what these numbers actually mean. So as you can see on the screen here, we're looking at all the properties in the L5H area, except this one that must be mislabeled because that's definitely not the right postal code. But anyways, so let's call it 109 properties currently listed in the L5H. And this is for all property types. So let's go ahead and start with the detached. And we know there was 8 that sold in September, and there's 97 detached homes available. So if you've got a home on the market or you're thinking of listing, these are the numbers you need to know. Now, of course, not every property is going to be comparable. We know that. Let's take a look at the stats of what's currently available. And you'll see a low price of $999 all the way up to 30 million. That's a huge range. And right now, the average days on market is 49 days for those currently listed. So if you are thinking of selling, just know that 30, 40, let's call it 50-day range is roughly what you'd be looking at, assuming marketing and pricing strategy is on point. For everyone else, of course, with a few exceptions, I mean, a $30 million home is expected to take a year, possibly 2 to sell. There's just not a huge market for them. Whereas the rest of the average type homes usually can sell pretty fast. Again, assuming the listing is reasonable with the buyer's expectations. And that's a huge part of the market right now. And the other thing I wanted to share with this as well, because there's 97 current on the market. I'm filming this halfway through October, a little halfway through October now, if you can believe it. So let's go ahead and see, what was listed from August to the end of September, because you're going to have some overlapping no matter which way you look at it. So there's 49 properties. So let's say 8 out of 49 properties sold in September, knowing there's going to be some overlap from August to September, September to October. It's more or less just an average number that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and see what's happening with the other property types in the area. Going to the semis, there are currently 4 on the market. And let's check the stats for these. So average list price is just over 1.8. 89 days on market is the average. You can see here, low of 57, high of 150. Again, we're not dealing with the most average types of properties, especially if you know the areas around here where they've demolished those bungalows and they've built these luxury semis that are really pushing that higher price point. And again, this buyers are speaking that simply they don't want to pay those types of prices. 89 days on market is quite high, especially when considering the demand there is for the area, and the average across the city is around that 20-day mark. And again, with those price points, it is a different market than the average house across the entire city. So something to keep in mind if you're thinking of buying, it's good to know these numbers. And if you're thinking of selling, it is the most important thing to know these numbers. And of course, I'm talking to those who are not under contract with an agent already. If you are and you're watching this video, I should have told you to plug your ears and but have a conversation with your agent on that and what's actually happening in the market. And let's go ahead and take a look at any freehold townhomes. There's 2 currently on the market. Again, higher price points. Let's check out the average of 86 days on market that they've been sitting. Now let's check out the condo townhomes. There is 1 currently on the market. And check the stats here real quick. So 16 days on market. And that one actually has been terminated and relisted. I believe it's been on the market since July, actually, with some price changes. So there's your quick overview of what's happening in the L5H. Again, if you're thinking of buying or selling, it's important to know these numbers. I, of course, dive deep into these stats with my clients, of course, so they can make an informed decision both on the buyer and the seller side. The market is nowhere near it was at the beginning of the year. It's definitely more balanced and definitely looking at the numbers, a buyer's market in the L5H and surrounding areas. Great opportunity out there for the buyers. For the sellers, you simply can't be expecting those higher prices that we saw in the beginning of the year. And it is all relative because if you are selling and going to buy another home, well, that home is going to be less expensive as well. As we say, the money stays in the market. If you're selling high, you're buying high. If you're selling low, you're buying low. So the time to buy and sell is when it's right for you. And of course, when you have the means and the motivation to do it. And sellers out there, if you're interviewing agents, absolutely be sure, I stress this on all of my videos, ask not how many homes they've listed, not how many homes they've sold, but ask out of what they've listed, how many have they actually sold? It's one thing for some to talk about the hundreds and thousands of deals they do. However, if they're at a 30-40% list to sale ratio, who would you rather have your back? Someone like that or someone who sells fewer homes but has a 100% success rate? And of course, I'm talking about myself in that regard and stating that I have sold 100% of every property I've listed since the day I've been licensed, coming up on almost 5 years now. So something to keep in mind if you are thinking of selling. So any questions, let me know, and we can always set up a one-on-one meeting to discuss your real estate needs. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.